Welcome to Vita COLITUR. I'm Lynn Morgan-Rosser, and this is part 2 of my interview with Donna Glee Williams. Learning about the creative process, whether you are an artist, a writer, an entrepreneur, a YouTuber, a hobbyist, or are doing anything really that requires moving from an inspired idea into developing that idea and then producing a final, tangible result from that initial vision, can learn and be inspired by people who have taken that journey, put in the hard work, and come out of it with the finished product. In part 2, we're discussing how Donna Glee cultivated her inspirations for her latest novel, The Night Field. Part 1 is linked in the description box and at the top of this video. Here, we delve into her writing practice and how that helps her discover and weave together the sparks of inspiration for her stories. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll remember to like this video and please subscribe if you enjoy this content. Now let's get right into it from where we left off with Donna Glee Williams. Once you start feeling these inspirations, what is your process of going from inspiration to getting in there and writing and seeing this larger work take shape? Like when you know it's a larger work versus a short story, and all of those kind of going from inspiration to walking the journey of doing the larger creative work.
You know, my practice as a writer is very simple. It involves a wristwatch, a journal, and a pen. And the wristwatch is set to alarm in 25 minutes. And the journal is paper, and the pen is ink. And so it is my practice to sit in an armchair, to tell my watch to alarm in 25 minutes, and my body knows we will not get up from here until 25 minutes are done. Now, that is a practice that I learned from Writing Down the Bones, Natalie Goldberg's book. It's probably over 30 years old by now. But one of the glories of that is if you commit to sit to the end of 25 minutes, you will get past the stuff that you knew you know, and you will get to the stuff you didn't know you knew. And that will invite the parts of you that are beyond the conscious mind to come in and share the work. So that is my commitment. And when I started this book, The Night Field, I was certain it was a short story. And I wanted it to be a short story because I am a lazy hound, and writing a book is a lot of work. And it seemed like it should be a short story. It seemed like a small inspiration. But when I wrote it, I got people to read it, and trusted friends told me pretty universally it was too preachy. And I thought, well, phooey. Actually, I didn't think that particular word, but it was painful. You know, I didn't want to write a preachy thing that was annoyingly pedantic, and yet the story kept tugging at me like this puppy that has your cuff or something, and so I kept going. And I thought a lot about Barbara Kingsolver, who has done amazing writing, amazing storytelling with deep integrity as narrative, but also teaches a lot. And you could say preaches a lot because it has strong moral compass, strong messages. And with Barbara Kingsolver there dancing on the edge of my horizon, I began to learn a lesson, which was that the way to get away from preachiness wasn't to back away from it, it was to lean into it. The more I hit the environmental message, the less preachy it sounded, and the more authentic. Maybe I'm realizing just as I'm saying it, because I was getting more in touch with my authentic feeling, my authentic grief and rage at what's happening in our ecosystem. And yet, to do that, it took a lot more writing. It was not going to be a short story, and it kept developing. And then I went to a science fiction workshop with Kitch Johnson, who gave me the insight, this story is too big to be carried by just one person, one protagonist. And I let that develop, let the story of Marak, the mother, and Laka, the best friend, develop more strongly. At the same time, I was wrestling with the fact that I'd written a book that was light utopian at the beginning. It became a little bit of an adventure story. And then for the last 2/3 of the book, it was just nothing but death, damnation, and despair. You can't do that to a reader. And one of the things I thought about was the book The Road. How did Cormac McCarthy manage to write a book that was so dark and so desperate and keep us with him and keep us turning the pages? Like, I could not put that book down. And I realized that what it was love. That book was dark, but it was just glowing with love on every page. And so if the answer is love, I just had to pour in more love between the characters, those protagonists, and the love could carry the darkness. So I wrestled against it turning into a novel, but when you do that kind of practice where you're just guided by what comes out in your journal, if you are authentically seeking, you'll get somewhere interesting. That seems to be a promise.
The love will carry the darkness. You say things that stay in my heart and in my psyche, Donna Glee. There are many times that I've just deeply appreciated you and how you communicate things. The story of that and coming to your authenticity, I think that's deeply meaningful to anyone who is trying to do a creative project of this sort of that becomes this immense thing, is finding the way to the heart, finding the way to the authenticity that will make it have depth and meaning. So that's brilliant. You mentioned getting in touch with the unconscious mind. And I know that you also do dream work. Could you tell me a little bit about what it means to do dream work, and especially in the context of being a creative?
Oh man, yeah. How many days do we have? Well, let me first tell you about what dream work looked like for the Nightfield, because I was so extraordinarily blessed to be a DreamWork client for one of the great dream thinkers of our time, Dr. Jeremy Taylor. And Jeremy was with me as I wrote this book and talking about my dreams and talking about the book. And one of the things he gave me was the insight that my story was about a really important crisis in human development. The moment in history when humans stopped simply receiving what they were given by the planet, the system, the Great Mother, and began forcible insemination through agriculture. That this was a huge shift in human consciousness and human relationship to the environment. And his insight there as a dream worker unlocked a lot of this book for me. Now, dream work in general, that word is used for the conscious exploration of night dreams in order to find meaning, guidance, creative inspiration, psychological healing. Many different purposes are on the table when people do dream work. And what it means to me is when people gather together to help each other find more information from dreams. And it's really important that it be people gathering together because, as Jeremy Taylor would have put it, the dreamer is uniquely blind to the meaning of the dream. If this were something that you could already know consciously, you wouldn't have dreamed it. You would have just known it. So this is something, a message from the deeper parts of the mind that are what he would call, he didn't particularly like complicated Latin, Greek polysyllables like unconscious or subconscious. He didn't go for that. But what he called it was not yet speech ripe. In other words, not yet there for the part of the brain that can put things into words and concepts. So when you dream, and then when you remember the dream, that means that it's part of the subconscious knowing that is ready to become conscious. And when you lay a dream on the table, like in a dream work group today, or our ancestors, as they would do around the fire or around the breakfast, other people may offer you the gift of a projection. Like if it were my dream, it might have to do with X. It's very possible their projections have nothing to do with you. They're just reading your dream like you would read a great poem. Great poems have many meanings for many people. But if they offer a projection and some part of you goes, oh, yes, that feels right. That feels familiar. Aha, why didn't I think of that? For me, it's often like, how could I have been so blind not to see that? Or some kind of visceral sense of recognition. He called that sense of recognition the touchstone. So if people say your dream is about X and you have no sense of it being about X, then just blow it off. It doesn't have to do with that. But if you get a zip out of it, then you're onto something. Another dream worker I know, Jay Joslin, calls it getting the feels. If you get the feels, so. And then one of the things, one of the old traditional understandings of dreams is attributed to the Sonoy people, that after you have a dream, one of the things you do is you make or find some physical representation of that. So that could be a drawing in your journal, but it could also be a poem, or it could also be a story. And one of the things about dreams is they come with the essence of good art baked into them. They are already metaphorical. They are already vivid in sensory fashion. They are already about things that you care deeply about. And all of those things make them a really powerful, creative launchpad for many people. And, I find people that come to my dreamwork groups that didn't know they were writers before actually wind up writing poetry, wind up writing stories. And there's also quite interesting, cross-pollination, because when people have been dreaming together in a group for a while, often their images are strong catalysts for each other, for art, shared work. And for me, there's also an issue that doesn't really have to do with my own night dreams. It has to do with the dreams of my characters, the dreams of the protagonists of my stories. And this entertains me because I was taught by one of my trusted mentors, don't put dreams in your fiction. It's boring. Well, I'm here to tell you, it ain't boring. I find putting dreams in my fiction, like the actual dreams of the protagonist, it gives me a freedom to go to poetry, to go to strong, metaphorical, highly emotional prose that unlocks more emotion. And when people have asked me about the strong feelings that they have at the end of the night field, part of it has to do with I've set it up with some of Pinboy's night dreams. And as she dreams other beings experience, that metaphorically strengthens the emotional response that we have being with her. So in my practice, dreams are a huge, big deal. And I, love bringing new folks into the practice of doing group dream work together. Always looking for new participants in those groups that I run. It's one of my great delights.
And that brings us to the end of the topic of inspiration with Donna Glee Williams. In the final part of this interview, part 3, we'll move into the weeds a bit, pun intended, with Donna Glee's deep insights into the editing process, which is all about pruning and pulling out the unwanted weeds as we cultivate a story into its fruition. Up next is the creative portion of the episode, and I have another song from my EP, Songs for the Night Field, titled Listening to Trees, with a video I made to go with it. In the story of the Night Field, this song is about being in Pinboy's original home, which Donna Glee calls the real. It's a shorter clip of the song that I use when Donna Glee and I give presentations. The full version of the song and the EP are linked in the description box. Once again, music and lyrics are by me, and it is co-produced with my husband, Chris Rosser, at Hollow Reed Art Studio. Stay tuned after the song for this episode's challenge. The challenge for this episode is to do a 25-minute creative free flow. I invite you to try Donna Glee's 25-minute pen-to-paper writing session, as she described it, which originated from Natalie Goldberg's classic book, Writing Down the Bones. Or, if you have another medium you want to work in, set a timer for 25 minutes and draw, paint, play an instrument, create choreography, or whatever works for you. This dedicated, timed focus might just yield you the bones of your next great idea, or help you to go deeper into something you're currently creating. And that's it for episode 4. Thank you so much for being here with me. I wish you a beautiful, kind, creative time until I see you again on Vita COLITUR.